Hello, thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure.
I know it's been a very random chase and we finally caught you and here we are on Zoom.
You caught me by surprise when you said the topic is on Sringaram. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, you caught me
So,
right there. Yeah.
uh,
Okay.
so let me explain what I'm doing. So, like I said,
Mhm.
Shastram is a space where I explore the concepts of Indian classical dance. It started off me just trying to understand what the right movement was, and I'm a Bharatanatyam dancer, or come from that practice mostly. And it's been a lot of research of history and understanding what movement suits my body and all those sorts of things. And that's been documentation that's been ongoing for a while. And there is a space called Shastram TV where I document all of this. Recently, I've been very curious about this concept called Sringaram. What is it? And it's different things for different people I've understood in conversations. But I'm doing a podcast on Spotify as well as I'm documenting these videos on YouTube. And I'm talking to artists and my friends as well, just about life, about everything that is encapsulated within this concept of Sringaram. How to bring Sringaram from life into dance, dance into life, so on
Mhm,
and so forth.
mhm.
So today I really wanted to bother you and pick your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, not to be a stalker, but have totally loved watching, just your movement on Facebook whenever it comes up or on YouTube, and just how you carry yourself. You're one of those ladies you're just like, wow, who is she sort of thing.
No, I am not sure if I'm that, but I'm certainly one of those ladies who are like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, okay. I think I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure most people who watch Shastram would know you, and the work
Yeah.
that you've done. But if you could just give us a summary of the work that you do for the people who are non-dancers. One of the things that I do tend to do with Shastram is try to reach out to audiences that are not familiar with Indian classical dance so
I
that
see. So,
they can become familiar with it, and the people
yeah,
in it. So yeah, please.
I'm also literally, I mean, really, I'm still familiarizing myself with
It
what
is
Indian
always it.
classical dance really is. I
Yeah.
mean, what is Indian classical dance?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, it's a
what
big
makes it
question.
classical?
Big,
That's
big.
a big question. What makes all the Indian classical dances classical, or what makes them similar? So I think I've been probing that question myself, and I don't think I have a proper answer, even now. Now, if you're going to say these are dance forms that evolved out of the Bhakti movement, because that's one common motive that I actually see, the
Mhm.
concept of Krishna,
Yes.
right? In all of them.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if you were going to talk about, um, you know, it relying on a particular, a classical text, or it following a classical language as Sanskrit, um, or it having a rigid discipline and lineage, um, or it even having, that kind of where you hand it over to generations after generations. When I say lineage, but
Yeah.
then we still have so many art forms that do that, right?
Yeah.
There are so many art forms that do follow, uh, lexicons or disciplines. But again, the question is, does one really need to follow a lexicon? Now,
Hmm.
when we put Natya Shastra into the forefront, it
Yes.
seems like it is a monogenetic text, but is it really monogenetic? Don't we believe in polygenesis?
Yeah.
Don't we believe that other? So are we trying to be didactic when you say this particular, all the Indian classical dancers have to follow this particular text or should be aligned with this? So
Mm.
these are questions I actually probe, which is why I now at this juncture I even think, so am I really an Indian classical dancer?
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah.
No,
So
I hear
but
you.
traditionally I would like, now in the common understanding of Indian classical dance, I
Mhm.
practice. I think I practice Mohiniyattam.
Fair
And
enough.
I because I believe I use the medium uh, to express myself. The medium in the sense, the technique of Mohiniyattam,
Mm.
the narrative style that it has, and it should have. Perhaps I try to evolve a narrative style on my own. And I try and root it as much as in the Kerala context and try and make it as organic as possible. But at the same time, I also explore because uh, it also has a lot of rootings in the other in dance forms, like, or you can say at least its repertoire
Mm.
is still it has inspiration from this other like the Chulakettu and the
Yeah.
Jadaswaram and all that.
Yeah.
I also use that, right? I also seek the beauty of that in making into my repertoire. So I don't want to be just, the Keralite organic, but I also want to explore the things like I think the calculations or the mathematics that the Cholus can
Mm.
offer or the mnemonics can offer, the system that has in a traditional repertoire from Cholkatu to Tilana, because that offers you a system
Yes.
which you can also adapt into your own. If you're using a Kerala Thalam, for example, I used the 56 beat Adhanta from the Kerala rhythmic system, and how do I adapt it into a format like the Jadaswaram,
Mm.
right? Then I understand the Jadaswaram. Then I understand how can this be different? Can it really adapt? Then I probably rename it as something called the Swara Kettu, where I'm using swaras to denote the mnemonics of this. But is it the format of the Jadaswaram? No, but it
Mm.
can replace the Jadaswaram in a repertoire.
Yeah.
So that's a way I have been working with the art form. And
Yeah.
so far in everything from what one would call it conventional, like so many Swati Tirunal, Padam, Swarnams, Kirtanams, the Raymond Thambis and the and the warriors, and up to also very esoteric composers like our Siddhars, like the Pampati Siddhar,
Yeah.
then you Patanjali, then you have the Muthuswami Dikshidhar, a lot of his compositions,
Yeah.
uh, to even Srinarayana Guru, right, from Kerala. So um, now from there, I also have been experimenting with Mohiniyattam, or I don't know if it is with the art form. I experiment with my own creativity. That's what I would like to say.
Yeah.
And obviously, because you've done so much of work in Mohiniyattam and so many compositions, you can't, your body will not think. I mean, whatever would come spontaneously would be the medium of Mohiniyattam. There will be the movement, but then you also try to extend and expand. The one is the movement kinesics, the language of the movement.
Mm.
Then you try and expand yourself in seeking other things that may probably interest you at a given point. At a given point of time, you keep changing. So I think your
Yeah.
preferences also keep changing.
Yeah.
Uh, right. So I would say from what is traditional to self-expression. When I say self-expression, I created work like the conversation between the Gopika and Krishna, where she says, I'm not interested in my family. I can't go back. I want to be with you. And he says, no. I think it's just that which binds you is what makes me more attractive,
Mhm.
is what Krishna tells her,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm not all that achievable. You
Yeah.
find me extremely attractive, and that goes with life also, right? So
Yeah.
anything that is so difficult to reach, the other things seem so mundane, but you have to go through it. And this is a work I did 20 years ago. So,
Yeah.
so that's where all my self-expression explorations in terms of themes, not knowingly, it's not like I want to do it, I want to be different. No, it just happened to be different.
Naturally. Yes.
Right? It was
Yeah.
like a natural progression. And naturally, I think I progressed to do things like Sarpatattvam, as you must have seen,
Mhm.
which I
Yes.
went to the Oscars.
Yeah.
And then during the COVID time was very, very, I think, revealing in the sense because we had no traditional proscenium stages,
Mm.
and you start exploring. Because I already with Sarpatattvam, I knew the potential of the camera.
Mm.
Uh, Not that we explored different. I mean, the dance was dance in Sarpatattvam. We just had two cuts basically, so it was
Yeah.
not like we used camera
Mm.
or the ability of the camera to capture, but camera used the ability of the art form to capture it properly. That is what I would say. It's
Nice.
not like I danced for the camera, camera just captured what I was doing,
Yes.
right? But in a work like Ahalya during the COVID, where you seek mythology itself to understand a particular point,
Yeah.
in your life, like isolation,
Yeah.
right? Ahalya, isolation,
Yeah.
COVID, isolation.
Right.
And I also used a text from Muthuswami Dikshit to bring out an instructional video on COVID, where he actually talks of the Maharoga Chakra. And
Mm.
that actually went viral. It was Google trending because it was the first of the instructional video then that came through dance then. And there he talks about the Tapatrayas, and that's like the Maharoga Chakra. And you understand the lyrics. And nowhere is it mentioned COVID or anything, but you actually understand the topic with respect to the cyclic phenomena of how, the pandemic could come. And it has always come before.
Mm.
Right.
Mm.
And from there, I also chose to do a work called Stri Preksha, where I explore the temple as a new space
Mm.
in the modern context,
Okay.
in the modern understanding of the term ritual and not the ritual as in puja.
Right. Okay.
Right.
How does that work
So,
if you could expand on that?
yeah. So, that the first work, I mean, what I wanted to do in Stri Preksha at the first instance was actually very simple. It was very simple. I had wanted to dance in front of the Sanctum Sanctorum in a very old temple in Kerala.
Right.
And with all my musicians, I have a veena artist, then I have the vocalist, the flautist, and I just chose a theme on the goddess. And I thought, and that's a temple of the goddess. And then I chose to do it there, and all permissions were given. Uh, just like that, because I knew that space was very sanctimonious, but at the same time, it's not that it is a strange place to something like this, right? To
Mm.
dance.
Mm.
So I think there was this part of me which told me, if not a space, then why this? What can happen? I think there was something very curious about
Yeah.
me trying to understand how do you place yourself as a woman down? How is that going to be accepted today?
Mm. Today.
Right? Right. So but more than that, I just wanted to dance.
Sure.
So all permissions were given, and it just so happened during the morning of the performance, the temple priest comes and says, "No, you can't use the camera," because
Yes.
I said, "Okay, but I need to use the camera." Then there were, the so-called the politics, and they say, "No, how can you have her dance in front of Sanctum Sanctorum? How can you?" That's not possible. And then the priest says, "No, it's okay. I don't have a problem. She can't use the camera." So I
Mm.
thought they were very sweet, because even though there were problems there, I still was given permission to do.
Mm.
The temple priest did allow, and he said, "Don't use the camera," but I wanted to document it. Now, this was something I thought had a lot of potential.
Mm.
And then then there were discussions on who the musicians should be, and uh, you these kind of little
Yeah.
things that you
Yeah.
probably think people have overcome but have not.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
then, but it's a space is a space, and my idea was actually not to retaliate or not to challenge the system, but to see how I can innovate within the system,
Sure.
within the given system.
Yeah.
And then I was said, dance anywhere else, you
Mm.
have the whole temple.
Oh, nice. Very
And
cool.
therefore, when I saw the architecture, I think a totally new thing just came
That's
up.
awesome.
This was all the day of the performance.
Yeah.
The opportunities were endless. Then I thought, okay, then I must use. Then I used a totally different set of musicians, in the sense, because uh, I saw two deities, which was Annapurneshwari, and there was Bhadragali, and I thought I'll make a work there. And then I called two musicians that I never knew, but I still had the
Yeah.
person I had planned, the Mirav artist there. And then I used the architecture and build this. But then came other challenges as to now if you have to document the entire dynamic changes, you need more cameras, you need the lighting.
Mm.
So what was intended and what was finally done were had absolutely no relation.
Sure.
So that is when I realized that. But in the process, the my entire perspective of space also changed. So the temple space, the I moved from one space to the other. If you've seen that work, I moved from one part of the temple to the other. You should see it
Mm.
during the course of the performance, and all this is like that,
Yeah.
right? Then the this is during the peak of the pandemic,
Mm.
and people are not invited, but you find that people hearing the music just come with their masks and they get seated somewhere.
Um,
And that entire, for me now, that became a social experiment, right? That
yeah.
entire space, I think for a couple of hours I owned as a woman. And
Yeah.
that made me very, that kind of showed a lot of things because immediately after, now this is not a temple that is very popular, not it
Mm.
may be popular in terms of its architecture or history, but it's not very popular in terms of people coming. Not many
Right.
people come there. But once this was posted on social media, you found a lot more people
Oh, nice.
going there. And they actually started the Pongala, the first, a woman's festival for the first time at that temple. And they
Nice.
used that space where I performed to have women do the Pongala ritual. Now, that is where one talks about the third space construct
Mm.
in sociology, where you create the perceived space is becomes very different from what the real space is. So
Mm.
from then on, I think I started really thinking how your work can, like, how to innovate in uncertainties and
Mm.
how uncertainties actually give you that push to think beyond, beyond all your paradigms or
Sure.
beyond what you think is right or wrong. And you just let go. You just let go of all those premeditated or preconceived notions of what you want. And
Mm.
you just allow a particular space. And temple is a very, why temple? Now I can do it in a beach, or I have done in a beach, I've done in even malls, but a
Mm.
temple is a space because what emerges out of it becomes extremely connected to the temple,
Mm.
extremely connected to the history or the local legends or perhaps the rituals. There is community,
Mm.
right? But at the same time, you're also seeing how people perceive a woman standing there in today's context, and it is not in that sense of ritual.
Mm.
It's you're not supposed. It's not like a part of the temple ritual,
Yeah.
unlike Vilasni Natyam or something like that.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is just creating, and temple being a tantric installation site, it offers a lot of challenges.
Mm.
Every point is a challenge because every point there are people to say, no, that can't be done. This can't be done.
Sure. Lots of
So
restrictions.
from there, yeah, so from there, I moved to another new work called Kavatam. And
Mm.
I brought in my students as well. So when you bring your students, then the challenges are much more.
Right.
So
Okay.
as a dance agent, so that's my next film. I'm just doing the editing for that, and that was again taken shot in one of the temples in Thrissur, and that was again it's a beautiful work. I think you will see how the entire legend comes alive in that
Yeah.
work, and also the importance of having community be a participant in your work
Mm.
actually explores the possibility of what we call accessibility today,
Of course.
right? Um, so so then I did my work in the in the Institute of Space Science and Technology.
Yeah. That was
Yeah,
very
I'm sure
interesting.
because yeah. So what I'm trying to say is from traditional self to what we call then there are activistic works like Uchila where you're questioning knowledge itself
Mm.
in that work. But from there to what is now called spatial expression,
Yeah.
where you are nothing,
Yeah.
but just something else is dictating what you have to do. But
Yeah.
you are not trying to say no, I can't. You're not fighting the system, but with due respect to the system, you just allow all that to understand if something great can be brought out. Now, something great need not be brought out. That's a study itself, right? I mean, you don't
Yeah.
need to always create something great.
No,
So, yeah.
no, you're right. Um, my question, you've done a beautiful amount of things, and I'm very intrigued, as to the depth that you've explored in this art form. First question, in terms of Sringaram, how important is it for you to be authentic to yourself in your
So,
work,
what is
in your
what is your
being?
understanding? Before that, what is your understanding of Sringaram?
My understanding of Sringaram is this state of being, state of self-love, which kind of overflows as a performer
Yeah,
for me. It's the essence of Indian classical dance, is what I've heard it to
you're
be.
right.
And that
So,
is to attain
absolutely.
that,
Yeah.
literally have to
Yeah.
conquer all your demons.
So, so as you've seen, I think from my, I think I explained so much because at a point of time now, there
Mm,
are work which is also not based at this juncture. I'm doing work which is also not based on self-love at all. When
mm,
I say, the space dictates what I have to do, I'm taking myself out of that comfort space.
mm,
I'm putting myself in an extremely dangerous space
mm, mm.
where there are other challenges. Now, when I do a work called The Crossover, which is the next film that I'll release soon, for the
Yeah,
deaf, it was a dance for the deaf when I integrated their sign language
yeah,
into my work.
yeah.
That's again a very dangerous space because you don't know that the disability space again is very challenging. You're not
Mm,
sure if you're trying to make sense or your work is trying to make sense to them.
yeah,
And you don't want to, no way, nowhere your intention is to do anything but good for them,
sure.
right? So,
Yeah,
but you could be misunderstood
yeah.
because no dance work in that space has seen a lot of, people must have seen reels, but people have not seen, creator or I think the kind of work that you probably see, right? Otherwise in concerts. And
Mm,
so it's very difficult to make them understand that dance, there is work like this also, and you have to see it,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it should be open to you.
yeah,
So there again, you have to put yourself aside and see, put all your understanding of your, what your art should be. My Mohiniattam, my Mohini, it's no longer my Mohiniattam. It was their Mohiniattam.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But again, you also balance your sense of aesthetics and you see how aesthetic can you still make it, you
Mm,
know,
mm,
when you integrate your mudras and when you also work with their language. Now you're working with multiple languages,
mm,
multiple gestural languages.
mm,
It still has to be aesthetic. But what I found is eventually what they really still like
mm, mm.
my performance, not the fact, not the fact that I did it um, in their language. The awe factor was still the work that I had created,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So I realized rarely do they actually get to see that. Rarely do mainstream dancers bring their work to the deaf.
Yes, yes.
So today, if you were taking me to a deaf space, I can actually transform my any of my work to their liking
Yeah.
or to their basic understanding. And that way, for me, that is so empowering. And when you talk about Sringara, my understanding of it right now, I think is a little, can still be extended from our theories and
Mm.
to also be
So
to
I guess,
like what others, yeah, to
yes,
adhere your liking to what others also like, right?
yeah. So in terms of love, I think it goes then into this idea of what love is,
From
and
self to selflessness,
yes,
for me
exactly.
right now is Sringara.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it is like when you go into the state of absolute, like the Sringaram state of being, there is no I, because I is the one that's creating so much of the sadness and the the separation from the other. And the minute that's taken away, then you are in that state of being off Sringaram. But to attain it is
That is
almost
where I
to
think
the,
everything, inclusion comes into focus, inclusion
yeah.
comes into play. Or when I say the breaking of the fifth wall, it is the wall between between I think the wall that even audience have,
Mm,
the abled and the disabled, the connoisseur and the not so, the not so, the person who's not so used to viewing a dance like this.
sure.
That's the fifth wall.
Yeah.
And when I say Sringaram for me is the ability to make my dance or make others love what I love.
Mm, mm.
And perhaps for that, I may probably need to leave a part of what I love and also get to them.
Wow. Yep. Yep.
Now, not don't people don't understand this, Girija.
Mm,
So, in the pursuit of Sringaram, people are still so held on to what they do or what they have been taught.
mm,
But to actually break that,
mm.
um, despite your reputation or your image, and get to different spaces. Now,
Sure.
I have this much of a tradition here. I
Yeah.
have this much of a corpus here. But these people don't know that I have this much of a corpus. They probably think that I'm a newcomer here,
Yeah.
right? So, or anybody for that matter. And but the ability to set your image aside and take these kind of risks and to make your art available. So when I make a work in the vicinity of a temple, the community there, and I'm doing the work according to what the demands of the temple, also according to the deities there, and
Mm,
I'm bringing the communities around the temple into the fore. They may probably not come to a performance concert. But they get to see me there, right in their space,
yeah.
creating magic.
Yes. Yes. And it's like creating that connection with space and people and the culture,
Yeah. So love
everything.
is
Yeah.
something. So if you see the crossover, you will understand. You being a filmmaker, you will
Yeah.
understand how the boundaries. You'll see how I erase those boundaries slowly in that work, and you will see it from the response of the deaf.
Yeah.
And so essentially, Sringara being a rasa that is to be generated in the mind of the audience, not something that most of the time in Navarasas, right?
Mm,
When we do Navarasas, we do, Sringaram, Hasyam. It's so wrongly, I think, perceived. So what are you doing? Are you doing the audience's expression or
mm,
feeling or no? You can only do bhavas that lead to
mm.
Sringara.
Connection.
So
Yeah.
most of the time, people laugh and show hasya. Ha ha ha. No, you don't need to do that. That's not hasya. You can do something absurd and people will laugh. You
Mm.
don't need to show audience expression.
Yes. Yes,
That's what
exactly.
happened. You
Yes.
understand?
No, I
That's the wrong. And
100%.
this whole thing, Navarasas are used by all and sundry so many times, but it's also wrongly used. So
Yeah.
I think, and we have to start demystifying these terms and making people understand what these terms really mean. So
Yeah.
Sringara being exactly from it's an emotion, or it's a relish that is manifested in the spectator's mind.
Mm. Can I ask a question here? So, in terms of this is idea, I guess I always come back to the shloka, the Yeto Hastas shloka, you know, Yeto Hastas Tadu Drishti, Yeto Manas Tadu Bhava. And that's how the rasa is born, where when you internalize something, and let's talk about these new age concepts that are just being thrown out into the world, in TikTok and Instagram and whatnot these days as well, where self-love and all that sort of jazz. So it's like if you can keep yourself in a state of happiness, does that draw that resonance from the audience? There's this state of Sringaram within yourself or whatever. Does that create that, resonance among the audience? It can be, like you said, portrayed in a way and create that sort of a, like, for example, when we're creating a scene for a film, right? I don't need to double layer it. I can create a scene where someone trips over and it could be a hasya or it can be a very pathetic sort of a sad reaction from the audience, depending on how I stage it. But do you feel like when we're performing this, if we feel it and then we can connect deeply within ourselves, does that create a resonance among the audience? What are your thoughts on that?
It's worked for me, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that if you're happy and that is reflected, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because that's what Natya is all about. You have to
Yeah.
come out of what you feel. I think the state of you dance, you can be happy, you can be sad, but then our Natya, the essence of solo act, or it can be dance acting or dramatic acting or dance itself.
Mm.
Um, Essentially means you have to be detached from whatever you feel
Hmm.
while you're presenting it. But that doesn't mean you're happy when you're dancing.
Right. Okay.
You can be sad and you can dance. You
Of
can show you're
course.
happy.
Yeah. Can I understand your definition of Srigaram? If I were to just, I'm just picking your mind, like I said, what's your definition of Sringaram?
Right now, for me, it's equality.
Yeah.
I think for me, right now, Sringara means for one to feel, especially in terms of Indian classical dance,
Mm.
one to first understand what is being portrayed.
Mm.
If they don't understand, to simply love what is being portrayed.
Mm.
Or number three, at least to feel one with those who think they love what is being portrayed.
Yeah. So,
That's very important. The sense of acceptance
mm.
into an audience
Mm.
uh, who like this, and the sense of feeling accepted as an audience is also a very important part of the manifestation of Sringara.
Right.
It comes from that egalitarian. If you feel excluded
Mm.
as an audience, where
Mm.
can Shringara, forget any Shringara,
Any
no
rasa.
rasa can come.
Yes.
There is no rasa.
Yeah, it's true. True,
If you're
100%.
excluded
Yeah.
as an audience, even if you're excluded as a performer,
Mm. Mm.
and when you know you're dancing
You know,
surrounded by
exactly,
people,
exactly. Yes.
by people who don't think you are included in this, there is no rasa. But sometimes, like I said, rasa can also come from a feeling of empowerment, where you know if you're excluded because you are more powerful,
Yeah,
there is rasa.
that's true.
But if you're excluded because you think or they think you're unprivileged or you're less powerful, then it's very painful.
Mm. That is also rasa, but in a different way.
Now, rasa is something where, yeah, you rasa itself comes from a situation where the exact, if you actually, what is the term rasa is means to relish with detachment. That's why we are able to relish even a painful scene depicted on stage. We
Mm.
can cry and then we will still say it was a great act.
Mm.
Now,
Mm.
why are we saying that? We cried. Then why do we say, do we do that in real life? Something affects you, you cry, and you say it was great. That is the difference between rasa and life. Rasa in theatre
Mm.
gives you that sort of relish where you go through emotions, but you're not attached to it.
Sure.
And why is it related to Brahman? It is related to it seems it is related to the Supreme,
Mm.
because in real life, the experience of Supreme is this experience of rasa, where something happens to you, but you still keep it aside without involved in it, just as a spectator. That's the observer.
Right.
So now
Right.
you get the element of rasa.
Nice. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's
This is
really
how I
cool.
explain to my class. I kind of break down this entire, it's such a complex term,
It is.
but the best way. And I have come to understand it only because I have taken my work out of the typical stage to other places.
Mm.
And I think that is why I've been able to interpret rasa so maybe simply or differently. And I'm sure these interpretations will keep changing.
Mm.
When you're talking about, the manifestation of Sringara for the audience, we never think about audience, who your audience is. For that rasa to manifest, either the person should feel Like he likes what he's seeing, or he likes to know that he's a part. There are so many reasons that could go into being into liking something which is being shown to you.
I feel like I'm learning all over again.
What's that? What do you
I'm
say?
learning Sringaram all over again from scratch. So I'm gonna oh, sorry, hello? You there? Yep, okay. I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions. So, like I said, I've just started this journey on understanding. Sorry,
Hmm.
yeah, so you've frozen for some reason.
You
Oh,
too.
oh really? Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
Okay.
good now. All right. So I've just started this journey. And for me, Sringaram, at this point in time in my life, and at this juncture of my artistic journey, is self-acceptance. It's as simple as that. I'm there right now. For me, getting to this point of connecting to audience. So I guess there's two, each dancer is different, their journeys are different. For me, I've always been able to lose myself in the art and be nothing. That comes very simply for me. To the point where there is no recognition of love. And I think what I have used art for, and people have used art for various things, I've used for escape. Escape from life, escape from whatever has happened, and into a space of completely just merging with that world, you know. Um, And yeah, so I guess in terms of catering to others, connecting to other people, the spontaneity of the places, I allowed them to dictate my movement and my
Hmm.
storytelling and everything. It's always been, what's it going to be today kind of idea, where we jump in with a crew and some artists and go, okay, what are we creating today? Let it kind of, happen sort of thing. So it's pure, for me, has been so far escapism. But I found a flaw in this methodology simply because there was no acknowledgement of the self at all. So I've kind of gone from here to this way now at this point in time. And I'm like, okay, well, why hasn't there been an acknowledgement of self? Okay, so you're not happy with this, not happy with that, happy with these expectations, all that sort of stuff. So for me, it's like, okay, well, how do I calm that down? And then from there, detach myself again into this other space. So that's where I'm at when it comes to this idea of Sringaram, you know? And I feel like you have seemed to me from, obviously I don't know you well, from you have obviously, known yourself and accepted yourself. And from there you've gone into this moment of connecting to others, from you to the others. I guess I'm trying to connect with myself now because I've escaped so much into the art. Um,
Yeah.
and
True.
there's where I kind of like even with you, one of the things, something attracted me to you. I always feel attracted to artists. I don't know why. I feel there are lessons to be learned, knowledge to be gained. And that's when I reach out. And if they connect to me, I feel like, yes, I'm I'm in the receiving end. I'm here to learn. And with you, I've just always found that there's this enigma attraction. I don't know, something in your eyes, something in the way you hold yourself, something like you have this knowing about yourself. For me, that's true.
Self.
Yeah, I'm really
Yeah.
curious about that as well. Again, you've frozen. I mean, a nice angle, but you
Right.
frozen. I'm just kidding.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, tell me
Is it
more.
okay now?
Yeah, yeah, it's good now.
So, not for me, there is no compulsion for me also that my audience should connect. I mean, not always, like certain work of mine, I know that not everybody can connect. And there are works like that
Mm.
also. Um, and you can't insist that your audience must connect, right? Because there are preferences and people assemble in groups. So if they want to see a Mohiniyattam concert, there would always be a group of people like-minded who would love a Mohiniyattam concert. But I think we've also done a lot of lecture demonstrations. I also bring my art to a lot of other people as well, right? So there, there is something in me that wants to reach out to them.
Sure.
I
Sure.
can actually not need I don't need to think that way. I can actually be comfortable here just reaching out to people who enjoy it and just allow other people not even react to it. Some may say, oh, it looks nice, or some may say, oh, we don't understand. I mean, I could care two roots about it.
Yeah.
But there is a compulsion, there is that. I think it's a very, very involuntary, very spontaneous thing in me that I want to reach out to them.
Mm.
Because when I find them watching me from a distance and just looking at me without knowing, I don't, I, it makes me feel very uncomfortable that here, hey, there are people wasting their time standing there looking at something they don't understand. So it's a waste of time. What am I delivering as an artist? But at the same time, I don't want it to, I don't want it to be, I don't want to move away from a system also. Now that
Yeah.
makes it, see, for contemporary dancing, it's rather easy. But for Indian traditional dancing, it's very, very tough to actually stand there.
Mm.
It's almost like you're in a circle
Mm.
and you are trying to reach out,
Oh,
you know,
100%. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that is extremely difficult. So even if that doesn't happen, I have it, I try to reach out without trying to damage the medium. But again, what is the extent of damage? These are all terms. Some
What is
people
damage?
probably, what is damage? What is the
Yeah.
aesthetics? These are also, I think what is important essentially is the craft of your art, and that there is beauty, there is form. And these are all such, but for me, beauty is, what is my sense of beauty in Mohiniyattam is to be able to do the movements without distortion. And I have ideas of distortion. People may not. I have ideas of distortion
Mm.
and of distorted movement. That comes with you know knowing the movements and teaching to children and seeing my own self in the video and trying to put that in the right form, in the right point space. And even when it comes to active, I have an idea of distorted acting.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, and uh, and therefore I try. And this is all my perception because of my previous experience with this art form and my notions of what the perfect should be. But it is also the knowing of the perfection has also helped me break that and create something else that is again
Mm.
can be perfect or imperfect. I think it's very, very difficult. It's a very subjective experience.
Mm.
And but there is something in me which always tries to reach out to a person standing there and, and watching Mohiniattam. One
Yeah.
is because I do not want people to say, I don't understand that art form. I don't want to, one thing I don't want to belittle perhaps the art form, which actually has so much potential,
Sure.
right? And I
Yeah.
want to actually show that the art form has potential. Our traditions have potential to address something so contemporary. Like I did a work on the conversation between a daughter-in-law and mother-in-law, and scripted
Mm.
by me, right? The
Mm.
music also, Mohiniyattam.
Mm. Yeah.
The concept of the Sakhi or the witness. So Sakhi in our Shastras are always witness,
Mm.
Sakshis.
Mm.
They also act as your own observer,
Right.
right? As the observer within you, where you are taking the liberties to discuss your issues with the person. They also come as a friend.
Mm.
But in today's context, to make it very realistic, even your mother-in-law is an observer. So
Yeah.
very,
A judgmental observer, but an observer.
yeah. See,
Yeah.
so when you bring a subject as real as that in front of public, there I'm working with the medium of Mohiniyattam in the same, it seems like classic literature, but then it suddenly emerges into this this real stuff.
Yeah.
And then, people are taken aback by the potential of the art form to bring
Yeah.
something, a subject as contemporary as this, as
Mm.
it has always been contemporary, you know,
Mm.
something as relevant as this.
Yeah,
So that is why I keep saying, why do people relish an art form? Rasa actually comes not because of the content alone. It ideally comes from the way you craft that content.
of
It
course.
is the craft that people like,
Yeah,
not the content.
yeah.
So there are so many sad movies that we've seen,
Mm,
right? But why do you cry for only some? It
exactly.
is because of what you like is the tools they have adopted to bring that out, the devices they've used, the characters they've used, the storytelling, the narrative, the acting. This
Mm,
is exactly what happens in your art. You can do big stuff in your art, but if your craft is gone, it is gone.
mm,
You can work in the disability segment that there is, you can work because that's a new segment. You can do stuff there. But if your craft is gone, it is gone. There is no
yeah.
relish, right?
No, true. Yeah.
Right? So, which is why people then actually leave their craft and create new craft. They
Mm,
don't find the compulsion of sticking to a classical art form
sure.
because this gives them so much of. But I feel that way I'm quite a purist. I
Mm,
love my craft. I love the technique. And I know this technique itself gives you the freedom to explore. You don't need
sure.
to leave it.
Mm, yeah. I'm a hybrid expressionist. That's what I call myself.
Yeah, I don't know what I
Yeah.
am. I'm kind of, my sense of self is always evolving.
Yeah.
And self-love also, right? So in certain pieces when you do in your repertoire, also your repertoire keeps changing in different places. For me, the one something I do in Krishna Dana Sabha is not going to be the same thing I'll do in some festival in Kerala, or
Oh,
in a place where there are 4,000 people coming to see you.
of course. Of
So
course.
you will understand that among the 4,000 people, if there are one or two Mohiniattam critics sitting there, you may get a standing ovation from perhaps 3,099 people, but you have displeased them,
Yeah.
right? That's okay. I don't care.
That's so
I
great. That's beautiful.
don't care. I don't care
Yeah.
because I say if you think, don't bring me into the fraternity if you're going to be so close-minded. And first, I feel so liberated as an artist when I do that.
Yeah. No, I love the fact that what I'm hearing from the start of this, interaction is that you want to connect to the people. Like,
Yeah.
I am really hearing that you want to connect to even the spaces, the people, and that's kind of your main aim with this art form, which I find really beautiful and I can relate to as well. So I'm going to share a little bit of history in terms of my upbringing here in
Uh-huh.
Australia. So I have this, the reason I started Shastram, or a lot of the work that I did, is to
Mm-hmm.
bridge gaps.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of, I came here when I was, what, 8 or 9 to Australia. And I was, my parents made, my mother especially made me learn Bharatanatyam. Like I was not into it. She was like, because of identity and losing culture and so on and so forth. And there are these multicultural events that happen in Australia. And everybody dances like everyone gets piled in together who is not your mainstream ballet and whatnot. And you just go and perform as on in, the middle of the city and things like that. And I still recall this one moment where I had to perform and I saw these people who were of different background, white kids and family, and they were looking at me. They didn't know what was going on. And I felt that so deep within myself that I was like, I think that stayed with me for 20 odd till date. It still stays with me that a lot of the work that I created has been providing context to the art form, so that people
Mm-hmm.
can engage. And I feel like I've even become a hybrid expressionist or whatever, simply because I use mediums of film to attract audiences in because that's a familiar space for them. I can
Yeah,
talk to them in their language and that, and then I bring them into the classical again quote.
precisely.
Yeah.
Certain things that Well, that's my thing that I do now, that I document my work into film, so that certain things
Yeah,
you want others to see, especially in this age of digital humanities, right? Your audience is
exactly.
much wider. I know I have my, you know, if I reach out, the fact that you've reached out to me just explains
Yeah,
that my audience is, wider. And so film really helps you do that, right? Documenting
yeah,
your film.
yeah.
I did one in the Himalayas recently,
Wow.
and that's
That's a
still to
dream
come.
for me to go to the Himalayas.
That was again, extremely challenging, even in terms of my health and the topography, and
Wow.
it was a low oxygen area that was during the prospect of having that war. We
Oh,
had,
wow.
remember, I was
Yes.
doing a piece when there were talks of
Oh
on war. I
no,
was doing a
goodness.
piece, a work on peace while there were talks of war. So uh, now there
How
is
wonderful
another
of you,
thing.
though.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
something I'm so proud of. I'm
yeah.
seriously proud of myself having done that. Um, then there's another thing that I always feel is nritta,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Um, uh, which they wrongly say is pure dance. It cannot be called pure dance, right? What do you mean by it? What does it mean? Does it mean imply that the others are impure?
Yes, exactly.
So maybe non-representational or non-lyrical or abstract movement. The thing that defines the grammar of your style, right? Now, often I have realized if it's an audience who does not know anything, if it's somebody from a totally different background, a totally different geography, the beauty of your nritta itself, they get engrossed if it's really firm and if
Mm.
it's really, really, really strong, that
Yes,
generates beauty.
so true.
So that's the first thing that they would probably like.
Mm.
And if that is clear, I think bringing your text, context, subtext, everything works.
Right.
If this is improper, the others could be, because now, especially Indian classical dance, if you're not using any other medium, where you're not using light designing, or when you're not using, any other projection or any other property, your only tool is your body.
So true.
When that happens, you have to ensure that the
Right.
physicality of the form is in place.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I swear, I looked at it that way, but you're also right. The minute someone does nirta properly, everyone is engrossed in it
Yeah.
as from the get-go.
So
Yeah.
that's why it's so important to have that pure dance piece is very, very crucial in your work, the
Mm.
first piece, which will actually put the person in place. Then whatever you do, they may probably not understand, but they just look at it just because it creates beauty, the
Yes.
form. They
Yeah.
can relate to the beauty of it. So
So true. Yeah, and that's why it's valued so much as well.
it's
And
valued so much. Yeah.
and in Navarnam, that's the first thing you start with.
Yeah, so which again goes to Tandava Lakshanam, where
Yeah.
Amrita comes in the place of Tandava. It's
Right.
explained from that part onwards. Tandava does not mean rigorous dancing,
Okay.
but it actually this very it's non-contextual. It can be non-contextual. It
Mm.
can be without any representation, but it's just beauty,
Mm.
right? The
Mm.
moment Parvati comes into the fore, it brings a narrative, brings an emotion. That is why they say in Natya Shastra that what she does should relates more to what people, to human emotions and stories. We can have this as a part of drama.
Mm.
And Lasya comes in the context of drama and not as an opposite of Tandava.
Right. Right.
Maybe I should write a book.
You should. You 100% should. I will buy it
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, yeah.
No, you 100% should. Question again. If you were to apply Sringaram concept to life,
Stringaram concept to life in the sense.
So I have done this idea of Sringaram to life. So we Sringaram Rasa theater, this idea of feeling so much love. See, connecting to someone also involves you.
Yeah.
That has
Sringaram,
to
that is
be
why
there.
is the highest rasa,
Mm.
because that immediately brings you to uh, uh, the sense of oneness. And oneness is also equality again. I'm coming back
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah. No, it is. And look, I'm seeing it from it's almost like I'm seeing it from this side. I've been looking at it from this side. And uh, what it is in order for connection to happen, these entities have to be there. Almost a separation has to be there for the connection,
Yeah, you're right.
right?
Obviously. That's why,
And
form to formlessness.
yeah, so it's like, and for me, when this is non-existent and this is there, I cannot feel it.
No, you need, I mean,
So
separation, all
this needs,
these challenges, which
yeah,
is very important. That's what so I always say I bring life into my art. I try and bring life into my art, and
yeah.
I bring art into my life,
Hmm.
right? In the sense, art into my life, in the sense, the art of life, right?
Tell me
Um,
more.
yeah, the art of seeing things, and for me, I think I more than Sringara, I bring Hasya.
Which is a beautiful thing. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
I bring Hasya, because I think you try and laugh away all your problems, and that's the first thing to do.
Yeah.
You just because it's a part of life. If you think that this is the law of entropy and it's not going to get better, it can only get worse because
Mm.
your as you age, it is definitely your sense of perfection is all. You will have to stop clinging on to that, right?
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to be so comfortable in your skin. You have to be so exactly in your skin, really,
So
in
true.
your sagging skin with
I
the
know.
jowls and
I
all right.
know.
So you keep rectifying it. You will continue to do it, but you will really be far from your true self.
Mm.
And I would really like to see how you know what nature has planned in store for the natural process. For
Yeah.
now, for example, I've started getting lichen plants, right?
Oh,
So my
okay.
students say, so it's a part of, it's this premenopausal stage. So my students say, Chichi, do something about it. And I'm say, wait, it's okay. It's okay.
Let it happen.
Let me see, and let it happen. We'll try putting medication. That doesn't happen. Just let it be. Let's see what happens, right? So curiosity still, in that sense,
Mm.
is um, like there, you have to befriend this.
Yes.
So in your earlier life, Sakshi or Sakhi is the person who sees you.
Mm.
In your latter life, you have to be that friend who
Yeah.
sees you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the change that you will see. This is the transitioning that will happen. That the older you get, the more away you're from another entity as a friend or another being as a friend, the
Mm.
more you move towards that. Even for
Yourself.
yourself,
Yeah.
you befriend, your problems. You try befriend your physical issues. You befriend your old age. You befriend sickness. You befriend death. So
Yeah.
there are
Yeah.
books written on that also. So
Yeah.
Celtic wisdom.
Right.
Um, so you have to, for that to happen, is again, you need so much of that selflessness in that sense, where you put yourself, you see yourself go through this, and you love that happening. So I know I worked with I mean, no, I didn't work. I spoke to somebody who had cancer, and she just passed away, and she
Mm.
was saying that when she's such a beautiful girl, but when she saw her completely bald and everything, after a point, she started feeling she started feeling a lot of love for that self. First,
Oh.
it was fright, fears, she was scared, but then last she started feeling a lot of love for that frail self.
Mm.
And she said, I just wanted to hug it, and I knew it was in pain.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that
So
is
the more
very beautiful.
I think the one thing is when you connect to people, you connect to them in so many ways. You you see so many people, you speak to them, you understand life in so many other different ways, right? We are also surrealistic in our art.
Mm.
And when you see reality, that helps you in your art again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a cycle, I feel. And it's like for me, there's life and there's art, which is the connection to the other people. Like, and yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
And
like
but
the rug.
now I can also give you a point where now you're not able to dance as well as before
Mm.
because of, think about it. There
Reality.
could be senile issues, memory issues, physical issues.
Sure.
And then what happens? Now, where is the art? You have to find what that Sringara. I'm waiting for how to define my Sringara then. I
Yeah.
hope it never happens, but it will, right? If you live that long, it will eventually happen. And then what is Sringara? How
Yeah.
will you relate to that? Will you hate what you're seeing? You shouldn't.
Mm. The acceptance of it at the
And
end.
audience will also hate it. So is now Sringara really audience centric, or is just you being the observer? Would
But
you really want your audience? Would you really want to connect to your audience then?
yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's all a question, right? So would you,
Yeah.
is the audience going to come to the fore at that point of time where you're creating work also for them, or you just want to dance? No
Mm.
matter, you may be completely creating, you may be out of form, you may be
Yeah.
creating stuff which is absolutely no form, but
Yeah.
then what is your sense of self then?
Mm.
What is love in that sense? These things will keep changing, Girija.
Mm.
You
No,
know, Bharata Muni himself has not given any hard fast rule in all these emotions. The people who have interpreted them have been very
yeah.
didactic.
Yeah. 100%.
Scriptures as such have been very, very liberating. If you read in between his lines, there are so many things he does not say, so
Mm.
many things he chooses not to say.
For sure.
He or that lineage. Or
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah.
know, or they don't say
We
because
don't
they
know.
don't know.
They don't know. That's right.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
just leaving it to posterity.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people like, it's time that we extend these,
Yeah.
and add on to these scriptures. For that, you have to create work and you have to be there in every age, every stage. What happens is we're all so plugged into this idea of perfection that we're all busy creating perfect stuff. For the conventional audience, we're
Yes.
all busy. So I think we can take some time off to ponder and then get back to creating perfect stuff.
100%. 100%. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Like, so like I said, this is for me, I've chosen a topic and it usually takes me on the journey. I don't know where it's leading and I'm open to, understanding. And I'm so glad that you brought up this idea of connection, which is so beautiful, to Sringaram.
Yeah.
And I will apply that
Yeah.
to
So
life
my new work on
too.
Sringaram
Yeah.
was on a Swati Tirunal Padam, where I actually uh, the heroine is actually talking to herself in the mirror.
Mm. Uh-huh.
That's
Right.
my new work. So
Wow.
because there in the end, not that I wanted to do it, but I ended up doing it again because I was reading and last she says, how can she's telling her friend, how can somebody as beautiful I be ignored
Mm.
by him? And so there you can. bring that little bit of self-love and that pride. And the mirror is the best place where when you don't need somebody else when you are in love with yourself. So you can, and so then it like a jigsaw puzzle, the entire lyrics can come fit. Not that he thought of it that way, but
Yeah.
it's now,
Yeah.
it's in the reading of the
The
performer. So
interpretation.
like a jigsaw puzzle, when she says, so well spoken and you look like the moon, moon. So obviously the Saki perhaps is, or she's telling the Saki,
Mm.
but that's an alter ego, right? I mean, she probably is telling herself, looking at the mirror, such a beautiful
Befriending
lady.
yourself, like you
Yeah,
mentioned
and such a
before.
beautiful, well spoken, especially she's in that stage of agony where he hasn't come. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
So now, even if I do a Sringara Padam of Swati, I can just do it traditionally with the Sakhi come and say, but for some reason, I'm always trying to make sense into it. No, it has to make sense for
Yeah.
me. So this compulsion to make sense. But I'm sure after a point in time, I may just go back to all the same things and just be happy just
Yeah.
doing all that and not think much.
Yeah, I know, right? That's always my thing. End up thinking a lot. But
Yeah.
sometimes, like you said, the taking the break away from creating and just
In
ponder.
gay abandon,
Yes.
that
Yeah.
is something
Yeah.
we should also learn.
Mm.
You
To
can
just step
sometimes do
away.
your work in just an abandon.
Yeah. And just leave
Just
it.
be happy for
Yeah.
what it is.
One of the things that I have been extremely grateful for through Shastram, coming into my life, I'd say, is meeting of artists and people. I'm super proud to say that I've connected to at least 500 people so far through this medium.
My
Just always learning from everyone, but it's just been really lovely. And I thank you so much for accepting this interview today, and thanks Arun as well for like connecting
Yeah, he
us.
gave
Really.
such a wonderful introduction of yours,
Yeah,
and I
he's
still
really
haven't met
lovely.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have not. I
really.
have only known him through Ahalya.
I have known him through Facebook and the work that I've done as well. But I think he met Sri Lakshmi Govardhana in person, which I'm so happy about because he was like, oh, I loved her dancing and loved her work and saw one of the interviews that I got to do. So it's really beautiful how art and the aesthetics and the connection has connected all of us.
Yes, yes,
So
yes, yes,
thank
that's
you so
right.
much and for sharing all of that knowledge with me as well today. And I really look forward to coming and seeing you in Trivandrum, hopefully at some point.
Yes.
And
So I'm sorry I didn't stick on to Sringara in the sense that you must have anticipated.
I am
Did I?
completely happy that you didn't because I learned something else today. So,
Yeah, but I maybe some other time, just Sringara itself in art, in the way I've made work
yeah,
or done work with this as a focus.
yeah,
In my traditional dealing with my art, like really my characters, maybe some other day.
100%. We can
That's
talk
the
about
topic.
it in detail about
Yeah,
that
yeah.
for sure.
All right.
That's a whole piece of
All
work.
right.
Thank you so very
Yeah.
much. Take care. Have a
Okay.
great day. All right, see you.
Bye bye. Thank you so much. Nice. Yeah.